One of Raleigh's best attributes are its wide variety of suburbs. Let's take a look at where all of Raleigh's suburbs stand in 2024, and I'll break down which ones you should be looking at. Raleigh is unique in that it's not completely centered around its downtown, as it's part of what's known as the Triangle, which is made up by Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill. And this all surrounds the massive Research Triangle Park, where a significant number of research and technology jobs exist. So naturally, much of Raleigh's suburbs population center around not just its proximity to downtown, but the proximity to the Research Triangle Park. Looking at the numbers, you'll see this trend reflected as you work your way further south and east from RTP. Cary has long been the premier suburb of Raleigh, and it's in the perfect location, situated right next to Raleigh, the Research Triangle Park, and Durham. With 187,000 people, it's by far Raleigh's largest suburb, both by size and population. And beyond just its great location, Cary has an incredible park system, great restaurants, and a quaint downtown. Apex is also an amazing location, being just under Cary, leading it to be the second most populated suburb. It has an amazing park system with a really cool historic downtown. Wake Forest has really sprung its population over the past 10 to 15 years, and is popular for its park system, its proximity to Falls Lake, and for being just above the amenities of North Raleigh. Holly Springs and Fuquay Varina are two towns that have also really increased in popularity over the past 10 years. Holly Springs is going to have a newer feel with its parks, downtown, and shopping centers, while Fuquay Varina has a more historic downtown and is a more rural feeling overall. Morrisville is such a small but dense suburb sandwiched in between Raleigh, Cary, and Durham, and it feels very similar to Cary. Its great location has obviously contributed to its rising popularity. Garner is south of Raleigh and is in a great location commute-wise, but hasn't seen the growth and development of other suburbs quite yet. Clayton has seen a lot of growth recently as it has great schools, and you get a great value for your money right now in the housing market. Knightdale is an older suburb that's growth has been fairly stagnant as of late, but it's also known to be very affordable. Wendell and Zebulon are two up-and-coming suburbs that are also more affordable but rural options. And Roseville is a small suburb located right next to Wake Forest that doesn't have a lot of its own yet. So many people travel into Wake Forest for entertainment, but it has big plans for the future. So a few things stand out to me from the numbers. Cary's growth rate is one of the lowest on the list percentage-wise. However, you'll notice it's still adding the second most people annually due to its large population. Cary is beginning to run out of space, and you'll notice much of its development is on the western edge of town. There's also quite a few developments that are technically outside Cary town limits, but are still considered Cary, not counted in these numbers. Apex is continuing its blistering pace and is starting to grow more upwards with apartments and condos, as are Wake Forest and Holly Springs. Fuquay Varina and Clayton continue to grow quickly as more budget-friendly options, and the massive growth in Wendell and Zebulon are great for their small populations and signal good things ahead. Now let's take a look at the housing market in these suburbs, and I'm using a rolling average of this past summer's data as it best represents what this upcoming year will look like for us. I will first sort out the table by sales price. Cary and Apex are naturally at the top, and Wake Forest and Holly Springs are up there too due to popularity as well as having a higher number of more expensive new construction neighborhoods. You'll also notice Clayton and Morrisville near the bottom of the list, which is crazy for Morrisville because it's in such a great location. But watch when we sort out the price per square foot. Morrisville jumps to near the top, so you can get a fairly inexpensive house in Morrisville, but it may not be as big. Meanwhile, Clayton stays near the bottom, as you get a much bigger house for your money. Cary and Apex are still very expensive, as you are paying for location and amenities, and Holly Springs, Wake Forest, and others fall below Raleigh's average price per square foot of around $230 to $240 depending upon the month. And lastly, let's take a look at the last summer's days on market and this percent that the sellers received based on their original list price, which are good measures of competition. And note, these are just resale homes. New construction is excluded in this data set. So this data is a little surprising. I expected to see Apex, Cary, and Morrisville at the top as competition has always been high there. But Wendell and Zebulon were a little unexpected to be that high. It could be a result of lower inventory overall and a smaller sample size. Also of note is that Wake Forest and Clayton are way at the bottom of the list. Again, this data is for resales, and in both of these areas, there is still quite a bit of new construction inventory around, which creates a lot of competition for resale homes. And while the homes do sell, it takes a little bit longer. And when looking at percent of original list price received, Cary, Apex, and Morrisville top the list, followed by Holly Springs and Fuquay Varina. All of those are on the west side of Raleigh, so it's clear where people's preferences currently lie. So what does all this data say for 2024 and beyond? Well, Cary and Apex are going to continue to be Cary and Apex. They are great places to live and will continue to command high prices with high competition. There will be more new construction opportunities on the western edges of town that aren't quite as convenient, but aren't quite as competitive as well. But I believe the data is pointing to Holly Springs being the next big thing. It's already showing it in the competition data, the price per square foot, and the population growth. And the development map shows more commercial growth. But the biggest X factor is the completion of I-540. That is going to reduce commutes into RTP and potentially lighten Highway 55 traffic to some degree. And it'll greatly increase home values around it over the next 10 years. We saw that same thing happen in both North Raleigh and Cary and Apex, and it's bound to happen in Holly Springs as well. Also, Wake Forest is another very popular location with really great neighborhoods and schools that draw a lot of families. The numbers aren't showing the rapid increase lately, as much of its development seems to be luxury neighborhoods outside of town limits and more townhomes and condos under construction. So I believe it'll be on the rise again soon. And Clayton is poised to make the next big push as well, as its development map is full of new projects, and the waterfront district just outside of Clayton and Flowers Plantation is going to be a big draw. If you want a more detailed breakdown of each suburb, we have multiple videos on each detailing both the pros and cons, the best neighborhoods, and more so you can figure out which is the best fit for you. If you need any assistance finding your next home in any of these suburbs or the greater Raleigh area in general, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm Allison Warnerowski, and thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next video.